The city pulsed with life beneath a sprawling web of skyscrapers. But atop a lonely rooftop, Zero Kiryu stood. His silver hair glimmered under the pale moonlight, and his violet eyes scanned the streets below with an icy detachment. The bloody rose, anti-vampire gun at his side, felt heavier than ever, a reminder of the life he had lost and the monster he had become. Every fiber of his being rebelled against what he had become, a vampire. The very thing he had sworn to destroy. The soft sound of footsteps reached his ears. It wasn't human. Zero turned, his grip tightening on the bloody rose. From the shadows, a figure emerged. "Even when you're worrying, you're diligent," came Kaname Kuran's smooth voice, his presence like a dark melody in the night. The pureblood vampire stepped into the moonlight, his dark hair shining and his calm composure as impenetrable as ever. "What do you want?" Zero snapped, his tone laced with venom. His violet eyes narrowed, his finger twitching near the trigger. Kaname's lips curved into a faint smile, though his gaze held a seriousness that belied his casual demeanor. "I came to see how you're holding up." Zero let out a bitter laugh. "I didn't realize you cared." "I care more than you think," Kaname said, his voice dropping to a softer tone. He took another step forward, ignoring the gun pointed at him. "Zero, if you don't take control of your nature, it will consume you." "I don't need advice from someone like you," Zero growled, the grip on his weapon tightening. "You purebloods think you're untouchable, but I'm not afraid to pull this trigger." Kaname raised a hand in a gesture of peace, his expression calm. "I'm not your enemy, Zero. Despite what you think, I'm here to help." "I don't need your help," Zero spat, turning away. The weight of Kaname's gaze was unbearable, like a spotlight on every flaw he tried to hide. "And yet here I am," Kaname said. "Why?" Zero asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Why do you care? Is it because of Yuki?" Kaname's expression softened, and he took another step closer. "Maybe. This has something to do with Yuki." His dark eyes met Zero's, and for a moment, the world seemed to still. With that, the pureblood vampire stepped back into the shadows, his presence fading like a wisp of smoke. Zero stood there, his mind a whirlwind of emotions he couldn't name. Next day, the night was still, save for the faint rustle of leaves and the occasional chirp of crickets. The grand school premises of Cross Academy stood silent under the moonlight, the eerie calm masking the storm brewing in the shadows. Zero leaned against a tall oak tree near the moon dormitory, his senses alert despite his tired posture. As he scanned the surrounding darkness, a subtle shift in the air made his skin prickle. It wasn't the breeze. It was something darker, heavier. "You've been a thorn in our side for too long, Zero Kiryu," came a voice from the shadows, deep and authoritative. The vampire senate. Zero smirked, raising the bloody rose. "Decided to come out of your caves, have you? What's the occasion? Did I kill one of your pets again? You dare mock us after murdering Shizuka Hio? Her blood is on your hands, and justice demands retribution," the vampire said. Zero tightened his grip on the bloody rose. "Justice? From the likes of you? Don't make me laugh. You want retribution? Come and get it." The vampire lunged at him, fangs bared and claws extended. Zero fired without hesitation. The bloody rose roared, the crimson bullet piercing the vampire's chest and disintegrating him into ash. Another Senate member charged from the side, but Zero twisted, dodging their strike. "Is this all you've got?" Zero taunted. A claw raked across his arm, tearing through his jacket and drawing blood. Zero hissed, stumbling back as more vampires closed in. He fired again, taking out another, but his movements were slowing. The bloody rose felt heavier with each shot. Suddenly a sharp voice cut through the chaos. "Enough!" The air grew still, charged with an overwhelming power that made even the Senate members freeze. From the shadows, Kaname Kuran stepped forward, his dark eyes glinting with a dangerous light. His presence was commanding, his calm demeanor more intimidating than any battle cry. "Lord Kaname," one of the Senate members hissed, "this does not concern you." Kaname's gaze was icy as he stepped between Zero and the advancing vampires. "It concerns me when you overstep your bounds." His voice was calm, but laced with steel. The leader of the Senate snarled, "You would defend this murderer? He killed one of your own kind." Kaname's gaze was unyielding. "Shizuka's actions warranted her end. If you have grievances, bring them to me. You dare challenge the Senate?" Kaname's lips curved into a cold smile. Dare? You overestimate your authority. With a flick of his wrist, a wave of power rippled from Kaname, crashing into the surrounding vampires like an invisible force. Several were thrown backward, their robed figures crumpling to the ground. The remaining Senate members hesitated. One by one they vanished into the shadows, their presence dissipating like smoke. Zero slumped against the tree, his breath ragged. He looked up at Kaname, his expression a mix of frustration and reluctant gratitude. Why do you always have to play the hero? Zero muttered. Kaname turned to him, his expression softening. I'm not a hero, Zero. I simply won't let you fall prey to their schemes. Zero scoffed, though his exhaustion dulled the edge of his sarcasm. I could have handled it. Kaname raised an eyebrow. By letting them kill you? An interesting strategy. You're injured. Let me. I'm fine. Zero cut him off. Kaname sighed. He grabbed Zero by his arm and pulled him closer. Before Zero could react, Kaname's claws flashed and in a swift, cruel motion, he sank them into his own neck. Blood welled up instantly, a dark crimson stream dripping down his collarbone. He tore at the wound with a ferocity that made Zero's heart race, knowing exactly what Kaname was about to do. With a sharp, commanding tone, Kaname smirked, his gaze locking with Zero's. Drink, Zero. You have no choice. Zero's eyes widened as his instinct surged, his throat tightening. Kaname's pureblood authority was undeniable, and his body, regardless of the hunger it fought against, began to crave the blood. The moment Kaname's voice struck him like a whip, his fangs descended without hesitation, sinking into the open wound. Warmth surged through his body, overpowering his every thought. He could feel the blood flowing into him, more potent than anything he had ever consumed, and he could feel his wounds healing. And yet, the bite was a curse, one he had no choice but to endure. Kaname's hands cupped Zero's face, forcing him to drink, his eyes dark with satisfaction. You'll learn your place soon enough. The night returned to its uneasy silence, but the encounter had left its mark on both of them.